Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Li Zhiyuan. Today, I will give a speech. Welcome to my conference room. Next, let's get started.
Today's topic is Lev Vygotsky, Zone of Proximal Development and its application in digital learning environment. I will present the seminal theories of Lev Vygotsky, a seminal figure in psychology and education. Today's presentation will be divided into 7 parts in total. The first is Author Introduction. Author and Introduction on Social Development Theory, Sociocultural Theory. The second part is Social Interaction. Social interaction is one of the core concepts of Vygotsky's theory, which holds that individuals develop cognitive abilities through interactions with others. The third part is MKO. More knowledgeable other refers to those who have more knowledge or experience in a particular area than the knowledgeable other learner. The fourth part is ZPD, Zone of Proximal Development, which describes the gap between what learners can do with proper guidance and what they can do independently. This is a key part of Vygotsky's theory. Part 5 is Scaffolding. Scaffolding refers to timely support provided during the learning process to help learners move through their ZPD. The sixth part is Digital Learning Environment. Digital learning environments involve the use of technology and digital tools to facilitate learning. The last part is Application in Digital Learning Environment. This is the process of applying the above theoretical concepts to the digital learning environment, especially the application of ZPD in the digital environment. Next, we open the first part of the text. The first learning objective is Lev Vygotsky and his theory. Vygotsky's theory of social development emphasizes the role of social interaction in mental development. He was a prominent Russian psychologist known for his seminal work in cognitive development. His theories emphasize the fundamental role of social interaction in the development of cognition. Vygotsky argued that community and language play a central part in the learning process. His work was largely unknown to the West until it was published in 1962, and since then, it has had a significant impact on educational practices and cognitive psychology. Vygotsky's concept of the zone of proximal development is particularly influential, positing that children learn best in a social context where they are slightly challenged but still supported by a more knowledgeable individual. The roots of Vygotsky's theories lie in the socio-political and intellectual climate of early 20th century Russia, a period marked by rapid transformation and a keen interest in scientific approaches to understanding human behavior and society. Vygotsky's ideas were developed in opposition to the predominant cognitive theories of his time, which often focused on individual development in isolation from the social environment. He introduced a paradigm shift by proposing that cognitive development is deeply embedded in social interactions and that learning is an inherently collaborative process. His work was revolutionary in highlighting the role of culture, language, and social factors in shaping cognitive processes. Before starting the second part of the study, let us briefly review the knowledge block that we need to understand in depth today: sociocultural theory. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory emphasizes the important role of culture and social interaction in an individual's cognitive development. Social interaction. Social interaction is seen as a key driver of the development of knowledge and cognitive skills. MKO helps learners reach cognitive levels they would not be able to achieve alone through guidance and support. ZPD. The concept of ZPD emphasizes the importance of appropriate educational support for children's learning and development. Scaffolding. Scaffolding is a teaching strategy in which teachers or MKOs provide timely guidance and support to help learners gradually develop new skills or knowledge. Digital learning environment. In this environment, learners can learn interactively through the internet, educational software, and online platforms. Application in digital learning environment. Vygotsky's theory can be applied to digital learning environments, particularly in promoting distance education, online collaborative learning, and personalized learning. In this environment, technology can serve as the MKO, providing customized learning resources and timely feedback while promoting collaboration and social interaction among students. Let's start the second part of social interaction. Vygotsky proposed that learning is deeply rooted in social context and interaction. He believed that cognitive skills are acquired first socially and then individually. At the heart of his theory is the idea that an individual's development is profoundly affected by his or her cultural and social environment. Of course, in order to explain the concept of social interaction in Vygotsky's theory more easily, I can use a simple example. Imagine a child is learning how to tie his shoes. The process usually goes like this. The first stage is observe and imitate. Initially, a child may observe how his parents or teachers tie their shoes. This observation process is a kind of social interaction, and children learn by watching what others do. The second stage is try and communicate. Then the child tries to tie his shoelaces by himself, while his parents or teachers will provide guidance, such as make bunny ears first or cross tighten. At this time, social interaction helps the child understand and practice the skill through language and guidance. The third stage is internalization and autonomy. Over time, with the help of these social interactions, children gradually learn how to tie their shoes independently. Eventually, he no longer needed outside help and could complete the task entirely on his own. This learning process eventually turned into his personal knowledge and skills. Next up, on to our third part, MKO. In Lev Vygotsky's theory, MKO stands for more knowledgeable other. This concept refers to a person who has more knowledge or experience than the learner in the learning process. This person may be a teacher, a peer, a parent, or anyone who can provide help and guidance. Vygotsky emphasized that learners are able to acquire new skills and knowledge within the zone of proximal development through interactions with more knowledgeable others, which is a core part of his sociocultural theory. In order to explain the MKO concept in Vygotsky's theory more easily, I think I should combine it with real-life cases. Imagine applying Vygotsky's MKO theory in a mathematics classroom. The process goes like this. Usually, the first stage is identify learning needs. Suppose a student is having difficulty understanding the concept of fractions. In this case, the teacher, as MKO, more knowledgeable other, can identify the student's understanding barriers on a specific topic. The second stage is provide appropriate guidance. Teachers explain concepts using methods and tools such as fraction bars or pie charts that are appropriate for students' current level of understanding. The third stage is interaction and feedback. Teachers interact with students and provide feedback to ensure students understand new concepts correctly. The fourth stage is step-by-step guide. Teachers gradually increase the complexity of tasks according to students' progress, so that learning activities are always in the student's proximal development zone. The final stage is self-learning. Once students master basic concepts, teachers encourage them to independently explore more complex problems to deepen their understanding and improve their problem-solving skills. Next comes the fourth part, ZPD. ZPD, which stands for Zone of Proximal Development, refers to the gap between the potential level of development a person can achieve under adult guidance or with the assistance of peers, and their actual level of development to solve problems independently. Simply put, the ZPD is the range of things a person can do with appropriate help but is currently unable to do alone. In the field of education, Vygotsky's ZPD theory is used to guide more effective teaching methods, such as supporting students to reach their potential development level through cooperative learning or teacher-student interaction. This outstanding psychologist from the former Soviet Union is known as the Mozart of psychology. Although he was only 38 years old and died young, we must admit that his contribution to education is no less than that of Piaget. The theory is as obscure as Mr. Pie's. The difficulty of understanding his social constructionism can make us lose the joy of research and study. Before starting the recording of this formal demonstration, I gave my PPT to my interprofessional roommate and asked him to try to read and understand it. This demonstration PPT and then gave me a copy of its understanding level value to evaluate my teaching acceptance of this demonstration PPT. In the end, unfortunately, when he saw this part, he said that he could no longer understand what it was about. But don't be afraid. This time I'm going to explain it in a way that's easier for people to understand. Vygotsky's theory The two most important theories are recent development trends and price support. Once you understand these 2 points, you'll be fine, and the rest will be integrated. The first is the zone of proximal development. If measured on a 100-point scale, the level that children can achieve by playing by themselves is about 20 points. With the help of adults and social situations, it can even reach a high score of 80 points. The difference between the two is called the zone of proximal development. It is like a child playing with building blocks by himself. He may only build a long track, which is relatively simple. Children feel boring when they are playing by themselves, but if there are teachers beside them to fan the flames, arouse the children's interest, provide more possibilities, and refer to the opinions of relevant professionals to guide the children from the initial drawing design, and then to team collaboration and implementation, you can finally create a complex and creative building block track. In this example, the teacher is like a worldly expert, MKO, who gives appropriate guidance and asks questions that are higher than the child's current level and can be solved with appropriate help from others. It is best to also promote the children's teamwork. Collaborate to stimulate children's potential and jump from low-level areas to higher-level areas. This is how knowledge is slowly accumulated. Next comes the 5th part, scaffolding. In scaffolding theory, teachers or tutors provide the necessary support to help students achieve levels of learning that they would not be able to achieve on their own. Vygotsky's theory states that learning occurs in the area between a student's actual development level and their potential development level, called the zone of proximal development. In this zone, students with appropriate support are able to complete tasks that they would otherwise be unable to complete independently. Scaffolding is the embodiment of this support, a temporary guide designed to help students acquire skills and knowledge over time. Here, I will continue the content of the previous part, continue to break away from the presentation, and explain it in a language that is easier for people to understand. I just talked about the two most difficult to understand and important theories of Vygotsky's theory. One is the zone of proximal development in the previous part, and the other is the scaffolding in our part. It is also collectively referred to as scaffolding teaching. Just like when we build a house every day, we usually need scaffolding, which is dismantled after it is built. Vygotsky's scaffolding teaching vividly explains a set of educational methods. This educational theory is widely recognized today and has always played a role in learning and education around the world. To give another easy-to-understand example, there is a child who is the first child in the class to be interested in sewing. He cut and sewed it in a decent manner, but the final product was very uncomfortable to wear and even got tangled in threads. The teacher observed this situation from the side and promptly guided other children to join in, organize a team, and ask questions about what issues need to be considered when making clothes. This is actually the beginning of building scaffolding. A little girl stood up and said that sewing requires considering the pros and cons and quickly acted on it. Her sewing skills are obviously more fluent with her first child, and the clothes she makes are better, but they are not refined enough and have no sense of design. Upon seeing this, the teacher thought of another way and took the children directly to visit a professional clothing factory. Every child was inspired. After leaving the clothing factory, they turned around and ran to the fabric store to buy their favorite fabrics together. Back in the kindergarten, the teacher helped the children practice making cloth. After seeing the sewing technology in the clothing factory, the children gave suggestions. After cutting the fabric, using a sewing machine will give you better results, and considering the size and adding decoration will make it more beautiful. At this time, the teacher has already built the scaffolding frame very high and then only needs to provide appropriate guidance and help. The children were highly motivated and started working directly. They first drew the renderings they wanted, formed teams freely, and then used rulers to measure the dimensions and cut the fabric. But here, the teacher has no time to provide other help. He can only step on the sewing machine crazily to help the children make rush work according to the requirements of the little seamstress. At the end of the story, the trial display turned out well. The child summarized the production process and formed a set of mature, time-tested thinking for solving sewing problems. Until later, the children spontaneously helped their mothers, sisters, and grandmothers make clothes, and the teacher no longer needed to help them build scaffolding. In fact, education is a process of building scaffolding and then tearing it down. Next time, it is built again at a higher cognitive level and then dismantled. In this cycle, the child's cognitive level will also increase. Next, we will come to the sixth part, digital learning environment. Digital learning environments, which typically include online courses, educational software, virtual classrooms, and other digital resources, are designed to provide a flexible, personalized learning experience. In a digital learning environment, students can access course materials, interact with instructors and classmates, and participate in online activities through electronic devices such as computers, tablets, and smartphones. This environment supports independent learning and facilitates asynchronous learning and distance education. E-learning and digital learning are terms often used interchangeably, but they do have distinct aspects. In an academic sense, the differences between them are as follows. E-learning. E-learning specifically refers to a learning process that occurs online or through electronic technologies. It primarily focuses on the use of electronic media and devices like computers, tablets, or online platforms for educational purposes. E-learning often includes interactive elements such as videos, quizzes, and other multimedia content. It allows learners to engage in the educational process remotely without the need for physical presence in a traditional classroom setting. Digital learning environment. A digital learning environment encompasses a broader concept than e-learning. It includes not only online learning tools and platforms, but also the entire array of digital resources and interactive technologies that facilitate the learning process. This can include everything from learning management systems to digital interactive training tools. A digital learning environment aims to create a rich, versatile educational experience by leveraging various digital technologies, whether the learners and educators are in the same room or not. These definitions highlight the role of technology in modern education, where e-learning is a subset of the broader digital learning environment. The 9 additional PowerPoint pages include the difference between e-learning and digital learning environments in a colloquial sense, and examples of differences between e-learning and digital learning environments that I listed respectively. Due to time constraints, we will not take up too much time here. You can pause the reading and watch by yourself. Next, we will come to the 7th and final part, application in digital learning in 7. Application in digital learning environment means the use of applications, tools, resources, or technology in a digital learning environment to enhance the effectiveness of education and training. These applications can include various software, online tools, internet resources, etc., used to support students' learning process and provide interactive, personalized, and effective learning experiences. In a digital learning environment, there are many different types of applications that can be used to enhance education and training. Here are some common ones in applications. 1. Online course platforms. These platforms provide online courses, teaching materials, and learning resources, allowing students to access educational content remotely, such as Coursera, edX, Udemy, etc. Learning management. 2. System, LMS. LMS is used to manage, organize, and track learning progress, including course management, student management, and teaching management, such as Moodle, Canvas, etc. 3. Virtual classroom tools. These tools allow teachers and students to interact remotely, including video conferencing, real-time chat, and online whiteboards, such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc. 4. Social learning platforms. These platforms encourage communication and collaboration among students and facilitate knowledge sharing, such as social media, online forums, and collaboration tools. 5. Ebooks and multimedia resources. The digital learning environment includes a variety of ebooks, instructional videos, interactive simulations, and multimedia resources to provide diverse learning materials. 6. Adaptive learning systems. These systems use machine learning and data analysis techniques to provide personalized learning paths and recommendations based on students' learning needs and performance. 7. Online quizzes and assessment tools. These tools are used to create and assess online quizzes, assignments, and exams to help teachers assess student knowledge and skills. 8. Data analysis and reporting tools. Tools for analyzing student performance, tracking learning progress, and generating reports to improve educational strategies and teaching methods. 9. Virtual laboratory. For learning in fields such as science and engineering, a simulated laboratory environment is provided for experimentation and practice. 10. Programming and coding platforms. Online platforms for learning computer programming and coding skills such as Codecademy, GitHub, etc. These applications help provide more learning resources, personalized learning experiences, and interactivity in digital learning environments to meet the needs of different learners and improve the effectiveness of education and training. Educators and students can choose the right apps and tools based on their goals and needs. As you can see, today's demonstration ends here. I hope it can help friends who want to understand Vygotsky's theory. Thank you for watching.